Sure. I'm Siobhan Nash, and at the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, I have the opportunity to manage our community programs as well as our pro bono programs and services.
Fantastic. And you will hear more from Siobhan as we head into the program. We were also anticipating another one of our colleagues, Carrie Burns, who is our Chief Strategy Officer here at the CMBA. Unfortunately, she's a little bit under the weather, so she's not able to join us today, but I know that she is here in spirit, and perhaps she may even be lurking out there in participant land. So our conversation today is focused squarely on the Cleveland Legal Collaborative. It is amazing because it feels as though it doesn't just feel it, it really is. It's been about 8 years in the making that we finally are at the point where we are in a year, 2024, where we are launching the Cleveland Legal Collaborative. And it is, as I start my 10th year as the CEO at the CMBA, I have to say that this is truly a dream come true. Our goal for today's conversation, we are recording this program, as I mentioned at the start of the recording. You are free to use the Q&A feature if you have questions throughout the course of our program. We may take questions on the fly, or we may wait until the end of the conversation, depending upon what the nature of your question is. We would also invite you, if you are joining us live via live stream on Facebook, you are welcome to also post your questions on Facebook. We have a member of our team who will be watching Facebook Live as well for additional questions. So the goal for our conversation today is to give just a little bit of a high-level background about what the Cleveland Legal Collaborative is and the why, and then to also talk about how you can get involved, whether you are currently a licensed lawyer, whether you are in the beginning of your career or a law student. If you have interest in becoming one of our inaugural fellows, we're going to talk through the process of what you can expect as a member of this program and how you can go about applying for the program. So with that, I'm going to ask Siobhan to advance our slide to our first triangle. So the Cleveland Legal Collaborative discussions began literally in 2016, and they started with a president at the CMBA, a guy by the name of Rick Maniloff, who at the time was a partner with the Squire Patton Boggs law firm, who has now gone on to become the law director for Cuyahoga County. But Rick and I were sitting in a room and we were talking about all of the various pro bono activities that the CMBA undertakes to benefit the public. And while we have, at the time, we had 13 or 14, today we have 16 or 17 fantastic programs that are out in the community providing a variety of workforce development and pro bono legal assistance, we know that there is always room to do more. And so Rick and I brought in one of our trustee partners from the Legal Aid Society, their executive director, Colleen Cotter, to start talking in a little more detail about how the CMBA could increase its support of the public. And what came to exist is this triangle of support, where the idea was that we could create a social justice incubator, where we could, through the use and leveraging our multi-generational lawyers here at the CMBA, educate new and newer lawyers who have a passion for being on the front lines of equity and justice and creating a truly accessible system for all, in order to create a vehicle that could deliver high quality, ethical legal services to people who either cannot be served by legal aid because they do not qualify based on income guidelines, or people who do qualify for legal aid services but are turned away for some other reason, perhaps because it's not the kind of matter that legal aid can take, or perhaps it's because, as sometimes happens, there are inadequate resources at legal aid. So the third piece of our stool here, the public is one aspect of our triangle of service, newer lawyers are the second, and then we will be leveraging the CMBA's more than 4,000 seasoned lawyers who can come on board as both subject matter experts and practice advisors. We're going to talk about each of these pieces in a little more detail as we go forward, but that will set the stage for the high-level conversation. So what's the need and what is the CMBA's opportunity? To underscore why we're doing this, they're one of the go-to resources for information about what access to justice across the United States looks like is the Legal Services Corporation. If you don't know them, Google them. I highly recommend getting on their website and doing a little reading. Their most recent report is a 2022 report called the Justice Gap Report. And in that report, what you will see is that based on data collected from across the country, including Ohio, 75% of low-income households in the US had at least one civil legal problem in 2021. So 75% low income, one legal issue. 40% had 5 or more legal issues. We also know from this report that 90% of low-income Americans received inadequate or no legal help with those issues that they were working through. And 46% of low-income Americans who did not seek legal help did so because of the fear of the expense, the thought that they would not be able to afford it, or the actuality that they could not afford it. So bringing this a little closer to home, here in Greater Cleveland, we are served, as I've mentioned previously, by the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. By regulation, legal aid, since it receives federal funding, is able to serve individuals who are at 200% of the poverty line or below. We'll talk a little bit more about what that actually looks like. The justice gap in America, as defined by the Legal Services Corporation and others, includes people who earn too much money to qualify for legal aid, but not enough to afford market rate attorneys. So these are people that we typically identify as living between 200 and 400% of the poverty line. What's a typical rate? Well, based on a Clio 2022 Legal Trends report, the average hourly rate in Cleveland is $250 an hour or more. So our lawyers need to make a living wage. They bill at market rates, but the truth is that there are plenty of people who cannot afford a $250 or more hourly charge. And notwithstanding all of the great work that legal aid does, even for those individuals who do qualify for free legal assistance because they're under 200% of the poverty line, every year legal aid is forced to turn away as many as 50% of the people who are income eligible, simply because they don't have sufficient resources. So let's look at what those percentages actually mean. So what we're showing you on the screen now are the 2023 poverty levels. So the 100% of poverty, or the poverty line, is the first column. So an individual who makes just over $14,500 a year or less is considered living at or below the poverty line. 200% of that for an individual, as you can see, is just under $30,000. So that's where the cutoff is for the Legal Aid Society. 200% of poverty or below, that's who qualifies for their legal assistance. But one of the pieces that's missing is what happens if you are above 200% of that poverty line, because you now no longer by rule qualify for free legal aid. And that's where the Cleveland Legal Collaborative is coming in. We also know here at the CMBA, we run a free lawyer referral service. And through what we do through the LRS is we connect individuals to lawyers. When they call us and say they need help, we make a connection to one of 130 different lawyers in Cleveland who are willing to accept calls through this free assistance. Each month, we receive approximately 1,500 calls, through which we make about 500 referrals, and just 10 cases are actually opened. So the vast majority of people who are reaching out to us are not getting assistance. For some, that's because they don't really have a legal issue. They may need some other social service support. But for many, they do not gain the assistance that they're looking for, because the cost of hiring a market rate lawyer is simply beyond their capabilities. So what is the Cleveland Legal Collaborative about? Well, this is where we're going to jump in. And as I shared at the very beginning of this, what we're putting together is an incubator that will educate the next generation of lawyers through a fully developed curriculum, partly developed here in Cleveland with our own membership, partly developed by cherry picking from some of our colleagues across the country, who are also running same or similar types of programs, but it's an incredibly robust curriculum that Siobhan's going to talk about in a little more detail here in a moment. This curriculum will be taught by those who are within our CMBA membership. We'll be leveraging the knowledge and experience of seasoned lawyers who can serve as practice advisors as well as subject matter experts. And then last but not least, together, the new generation of lawyers with the seasoned lawyers will be providing high quality legal services to those who are not able to access help elsewhere. So with that, Siobhan, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about collaboration opportunities and to get us into the specifics around what it means to be a potential fellow candidate.
Thanks, Becky. And I saw a few questions come in the Q&A, but I think we'll address them later. So we'll get to them for those who dropped those questions. They're particularly about fellow requirements. So we'll kind of have a conversation now about becoming a collaborative fellow and what to expect, how to apply, what you can expect as far as the timeline, and what you'll receive in exchange for the service provided through this program. So who can participate? This was one of the questions I saw. So we're looking for newer lawyers who are in about the first 5 years of practice. There was a specific question about what 5 years looks like. Does that look like practicing in Ohio for 5 years, other jurisdictions for 5 years? And so to answer that question, I'll say do not exclude yourselves. Submit your application, which actually is available on our website right now. Submit the application. While we are looking for those practicing in the first 5 years, we will address and review all applications that are received and make determinations based on the applicant's packet as well as interview and everything else. So please do submit those applications. So we also want to make sure that applicants are will be considered on a case-by-case basis. And so, like I said, they're for more experienced lawyers who are committed to doing things differently. And we want to make sure that we're continuing to, or the object of the program is to serve the demographic as described by Becky earlier in the conversation. And so all participants must be bar admitted when the program begins. And we'll have a conversation, we'll get into a little later when the program will start and how applicants can proceed further if they're not bar admitted, what to expect. All right, so fellows, what you can expect when you arrive is that fellows will open their own practice. So while you are participating in a program of the Bar Association, all fellows will be their own practitioner. So you'll be solo practitioners and you will have assistants opening IOTAs, malpractice insurance, and everything like that to kind of get you started. So that's one of the program opportunities is to receive support in those areas when opening that solo practice. So these will be individual practices for the duration of the 18-month program. And so CMBA, again, will provide guidance in specific areas needed, including the malpractice IOTA, and then leveraging other research and practice management software that the CMBA will be able to connect you with and provide support for. So the 18-month practice, what it will look like. So what the program will look like across the 18 months. So you'll get an individual practice advisor. And so we talked a little about the seasoned attorneys who will support the fellows through the program. And so these will be the practice advisors. So they're based on, this will be, it says practice advisor, but it's going to include mentorship and other organic relationships that form throughout the time that you're in the program. And so you'll get a detailed curriculum taught by subject matter experts. And we've worked with over 100 volunteers over the course in depth over the past year and a half, really hashing out the curriculum, talking and discussing the subject matters and how to deliver these to the fellows. So you'll also receive referrals from our LRS service. And so Becky told you about the resounding number of referrals and calls that we receive, which totals about 13,000 calls per year. And so fellows will staff office hours and have opportunities to take LRS calls and receive those referrals directly to them to be able to serve applicants. So, well, to be able to serve those in need. So it's not like it's more so the support opportunity for fellows. So you also have an opportunity to accept outside applicants or outside services and outside clients, but you will have LRS as a support mechanism to receive referrals there as well. Free office space, meeting space, in the conference center here at the Metropolitan Bar Association. If you haven't been here, we have office space, and we've had a fun time crafting what the designs of the rooms will look like, and what the space will look like. So it'll be very fun. And then a stipend. So we'll be paying a monthly. The CMBA will be paying a monthly stipend. In year one, it would be about $50,000, and then in year two, there will be an opportunity to apply for an additional support if necessary. Becky, I see you came off mute. You want to talk about that a little more?
I did. A couple of these items on the slide. Thank you, Siobhan. I wanted to mention. So the individual practice advisors, that will be a one-on-one matching so that each fellow will receive his or her own individual practice advisor. Now, someone who comes to us with 4 or 5 years of actual law practice experience may not need as much hands-on assistance and support as a brand new graduate who's just passed the bar exam. So this practice advisor relationship will be very much customized based upon an individual fellow's experience, needs, and wants. The subject matter experts will be across a host of topics and subjects. So you name it. We're going to talk a little more about curriculum here in a second. We're looking for volunteers, and I know some of the folks joining us today are seasoned lawyers who are interested in getting involved. If you have a pet passion or an area of expertise that you would like to share with the next generation of lawyers, we would be delighted to sign you up as one of our subject matter experts. And then, yeah, the stipend is pretty great. So one of the things that distinguishes our program from a handful of others that exist around the country is that we are building a platform on which the fellows can receive stipends so that they can focus their time and energy on really learning how to practice effectively and efficiently and ethically with this group of citizens who are stuck in the justice gap. Other programs that exist in different places like Chicago, under the umbrella of the Chicago Bar Foundation, have been successful, but frankly have struggled because instead of giving fellows stipends or equivalent, they in fact make their fellows pay them, the organization. And what we want to be sure that we're doing is setting you up for success right from the get-go and ensuring that you have a stream of revenue that can help defray expenses and keep you focused on learning how to practice law is going to be essential. So more details we can go into more details later, or if anyone has specific questions about what that will look like, we'll have our contact information, but it's definitely going to be a distinguishing feature. And then last but not least on this slide, Siobhan mentioned the free office and meeting space will be fun. Listen, here's the goal. The name collaborative is in the title of this program intentionally. The room, the office space, the meeting places that we've established for the collaborative are designed to be exactly that. Open concept so that our fellows are able to interact with one another, with Siobhan as our manager of the collaborative, with other staff members, and of course with the practice advisors that come in. So very much an open concept that we know will support and lend additional benefit to those who are chosen to participate in the program.
Thanks for pointing that out, Becky. So you talked a little about learning more about the curriculum and the collaborative curriculum. Again, we've worked about over a year and a half with over 100 volunteers really kind of digging into what this will look like. So there is a snapshot here of some of the curriculum that we have designed for the first week or so of the program. And so you get heavy first 6 months of educational programming. That's your in-person, you're learning with subject matter experts in person, you're learning with your cohort. And so while we're talking about individual solo practitioners, it is a cohort model programming. So you're moving together. And so when Becky kind of talks about the collaborative concept, it is truly a collaborative concept to bounce ideas off of each other, to learn from each other, and to work with each other. These are going to be the future leaders of Cleveland's legal community. You'll again learn about opening a practice, client intake, billing, marketing, practice area specific needs. And so these aren't just one-off conversations. These are curriculum based and designed with again some of the best in the business when it comes to the client software marketing and other things. So we want to be able to provide support across the board when it comes to developing and starting a solo practice, as well as working with fellows to move through the program. So again, just as Becky stated before, there are opportunities where some of this information may not be new to some of our fellows because they may have been practicing for a while, but we still want to make sure that we're offering a wide variety of support and information for everyone in the program. So we expect that fellows to attend all classes as a part of the collaborative. So one thing in specifically what I want to point out is that this is intended to be an in-person program at the Metropolitan Bar Association. So we are expecting fellows to attend in person all of the sessions and required information. More details will be provided to accepted fellows and those participating in the program, but it's very important in a professional life of Zoom like we are today, and hybrid and opportunities to be web-based, that this is an in-person opportunity, and this will promote the cohort and collaborative model sufficient. Fellows will also staff our LRS call center. So we'll be doing walk-ins. So the public will be able to drop in and do walk-ins in a brief advice clinic setting, as well as the 3 hours a week of the LRS call center. So that's an opportunity for fellows to speak directly with public engagement and other public officials or community members who are calling and looking for services and needing legal representation. In addition to that, as I mentioned, Fridays will be office hours, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We frequently get general public members who are in need of a lawyer or other resource needs, and they come to the CMBA looking for support and need assistance. So these are all practical ways for fellows to learn how to interact and how to work with the population described previously. And so the application. So as mentioned before, the application is open. It is on our website, clemetrobar.org/CLC. You can visit now. You can look at the application now. It's there and live. But some things we want to point out. We mentioned that fellows will need to be Ohio Bar admitted by the beginning of the program. However, you do not need to be bar admitted to apply for the program. We are accepting applications, and we want to make sure that it is explicitly stated that you do not need to be bar admitted to apply. You do need to be bar admitted prior to before the program begins. And so kind of go into that a little bit. We have planned out cohorts 1, 2, and 3 already. So we are working through that. So cohort 1 begins July of this year, and we'll talk about that specific date. Following that, cohorts will begin at the top of the year. And so this was the advisement of our local law schools, as well as understanding the program model, that January will be a preferable time to start the program. And so 6 months after the first cohort begins, we will be looking into this to begin the second cohort and each year following that. There are 2 rounds of interviews for each cohort. So we'll kind of see here what that looks like. So again, January 8th is today. The application has been opened. And then interviews begin for cohort 1, February 19th. So these interviews will go a little over a month. So they'll conclude around March 21st and begin around February 19th. What you don't see on here, but is on the application, is that there is a preferred submission date, February 12th. So those applications received by February 12th, you'll see on the application, will be looked at. All applications will be looked at, but that is a preferable deadline. March 29th, we will be looking to announce the accepted fellows and inform the accepted fellows. There again will also be a public announcement of this. In May, we'll conduct our onboarding and do a welcome social. What's a new program without a social event for our fellows, as well as to learn and to mingle with each other, staff, and community members. And then July 8th, the program begins. So just after the 4th of July, we will be starting a new, very new incubator program in Cleveland. So we're looking forward to it. We talked a little about cohort 2, and so this is what the timeline for cohort 2 will look like. There may be some future modifications, but this is what will look like for a January launch for our second cohort in 2025. So applications will open again in August. September and October, we're looking at interviews. November, a public announcement. December, some onboarding and social fun. And then January 2025, starting the second cohort. And questions. So I know we've been receiving some questions in the Q&A. Hopefully we've addressed most of them. I want to welcome Becky back and see if you have some information you want to add, Becky, anything you think we left off or some updates or anything.
Yep. So thanks, Siobhan. So I will just reiterate that we have 6 fellow spots open in each of the 3 cohorts that we've talked about. So starting in July, we will take on 6 fellows. Then in January of 2025, we'll bring on another 6. And then for the next cohort of a year later, January of 2026, we will have another 6. Our goal, frankly, is to grow this program. We hope that both the interest as well as the financial support that we have been seeking from outside sources as well as bar friends continues to grow as we gain traction and deliver great services to the community. So ideally, we hope to see that number grow, but at least for the next 3 years, 3 cohorts, there will be 6 fellows per cohort. And if you didn't hear, in 2023, the CMBA celebrated our 150th anniversary. As part of that celebration, in addition to all the parties and looking backwards about the incredible accomplishments of our bar members, and the legal community across the city, we also looked forward and we launched what we've called the Legacy 150 campaign, for which the Cleveland Legal Collaborative is the signature fundraising initiative. So we have already raised more than $1 million as part of this initiative. We are on our way to raise more between now and June 30th, and every dollar raised is going to support either the Cleveland Legal Collaborative, expansion of our workforce development efforts, or the long-term viability of our programming into the future. So again, the collaborative is our signature project. One of the ways that folks can help us is, even if you haven't already supported the campaign, you could get others to support it. And if you have supported it, thank you. We are so grateful. It's been an incredible opportunity to really see the community come forward, because the concept of the collaborative is really resonating everywhere we go. I'd be glad to talk offline with anyone who's got questions about how that campaign is working or what you might be able to do to support it. But beyond the campaign, I'd make the same offer to contact me, to contact Siobhan or Carrie Burns. You've got our email addresses there. If you have more specific questions about how the collaborative is going to work, or how you or someone you know might get involved. Siobhan, I'm going to ask you to go back, if you could, on this PowerPoint slides. For some reason, there's a slide that's hidden, slide number 7. If you could unhide it, I think it tells the best ending of the story as to why the need for this program. One of the things that we did is to take a look at what's happening with legal services in Greater Cleveland. And I mentioned at the start of this conversation, we know that there are many people who do not have the ability to gain access to legal assistance. And as Siobhan has just brought up this slide, we've taken a look at both Cuyahoga County data and Cleveland data. And what these numbers on the screen tell us is that overall in Cuyahoga County, more than 16% of people are living below the poverty line. We know that 75% of the residents of Cuyahoga County live somewhere under 400% of the poverty line. And again, that's the group, under 400% of the poverty line, that we are seeking to serve. So the need in the county is great. The need in the city of Cleveland is even greater. As you can see, overall, 32% of Clevelanders are living below poverty. 92% of all Clevelanders are living under 400% of poverty. So the need in our community, both the immediate Cleveland community and then broader Cuyahoga County, is overwhelming. You probably saw, if you read these kinds of stories as I do, that Cleveland was again named the second poorest city in the country. That is not a ranking that we want, and I certainly know it's not a ranking that any of us are proud of. So our goal is to try to deliver real service where there is real need. So it looks like we've got a couple questions. Does this program include healthcare benefits? It will not include healthcare benefits. Again, as a recipient of a $50,000 stipend, we have done some benchmarking in terms of what things like medical insurance, health insurance, the malpractice insurance that you'll need to practice law. We've done some benchmarking in terms of what those expenses look like, and are feeling confident that a fellow who is selected should be able to get the kind of coverage that they need, both in terms of personal benefits as well as liability insurance through utilization of that stipend. Do applicants need to be a member of the CMBA? You do not, but I don't know why you wouldn't be. Okay, that's a layup question. If you are selected to be a part of the collaborative as one of our inaugural fellows, you will automatically become a CMBA member and get all of the benefits that come along with being a member. And then, of course, we hope once you graduate from the program that you choose to be a CMBA member for life, as I have. But you do not have to be a member at the beginning of the application process. And then, do we have goals for the areas that the collaborative will focus on? So one fellow in family law, for example, one fellow in property law. So the short answer is we do have lots of goals, and we have goals around a number of different areas, substantive areas of law that we believe we will prioritize. But the goal is to really try to cross-train our fellows across a variety of subject areas. Now, if somebody applies to become a fellow and they say to us they only want to do family law, we'll take that under consideration and talk about it in the course of the dialogue with an interview process with the candidate. But ideally, we are hopeful that we will be seeing candidates who are interested in learning a variety of different subject matter areas. I think specialization will make sense as people get further into the second half of the fellowship, months 8 to 18. But it is possible that we could think about specialization earlier. One of the things that we know about folks who come to us looking for assistance in either the pro bono or what the low bono concept is described is if there's one legal issue, there are often more than 2, 3, or 4. I showed some of that data earlier on. So having a broad base of knowledge for how to serve the underserved is going to be an important piece. Somebody asked also, what goals do we have in terms of how are we going to know if there is success here? Well, success is going to be defined in a couple of different ways. First, graduates of the program. We are looking for people who are committed to graduating from the program after the 18 months. As Siobhan mentioned, we'll give you another 6 months to carry on and to stay here at the CMBA while you decide what you want to do next after you complete the 18-month fellowship. but graduation rate is definitely going to be a measure of success. Another measure will be, where do you go after you complete the fellowship? I think that there will be one or more graduates of this fellowship who are going to want to start their own firm, maybe solo, maybe not solo, maybe just a small firm, but who will want to focus exclusively on serving these folks who fall within the justice gap. We also know that there is interest among some of our mid and larger size law firms in town to hire graduates of this fellowship program, people who could come into larger organizations and practice both for what I'll call the more traditional law firm clients, but also creating opportunities to serve the underserved, since so many of our law firms are committed to giving back day in and day out. So where you go next and how long you continue to demonstrate your commitment to serving the justice gap is another measure of success. And then the last measure of success I will talk about is, we cannot do this in a vacuum. This collaborative is exactly that. It is a collaborative effort of many, many community partners. I mentioned the Legal Aid Society at the start of this conversation, but there's so many more. Both the Case Western Reserve and Cleveland State University law schools are on board and supporting this initiative. We have practitioners from big firms and small firms and corporate legal departments and beyond who are on board and supporting. We have law firms that have supported this with both financial contributions and commitments to help, again, educate, train, and potentially hire from our graduates. So success is really looking in a broad scope across our community and bringing in new and different collaborators all the time. I see a question about what is the greatest need in terms of types of cases that come in for referrals. If Carrie Burns were here, she would have oversees our LRS. She has the data to pinpoint. I'll say in general, the most frequently sought after lawyers through the lawyer referral service practice in the areas of family law, employment law, landlord-tenant, sometimes evictions, although Legal Aid runs a great eviction program, but there are sometimes some related issues that they are not able to handle. And then I think, did I already say employment, Siobhan? I think I did.
Yes.
I was on a roll. Great. And then general contract work. But we get requests for everything from criminal issues to civil rights matters, to dog bite cases, you name it. We see a variety. I see another question about how can you be involved as a subject matter expert, as a seasoned attorney? That's a great question, and I didn't even plant it. We would love for you to get involved simply by emailing Siobhan or me or Carrie Burns. We'll go back to our contact slide here as we prepare to wrap up. As we shared, we've built the curriculum. If you go to our website, clemetrobar.org/CLC, you will see the curriculum at a high level. And we are recruiting now for seasoned lawyers who are interested in teaching one or more courses. We're also recruiting for practice advisors. Those are the individuals who will be assigned one-on-one to each of our 6 fellows. And again, the time commitment there will really depend upon what the individual negotiation is between the practice advisor and the fellow based upon needs and wants. But we've already gotten a couple of our practice advisors locked in. We are still recruiting, I think it's 2 or 3 more. So if anyone is interested in that, please reach out again, same way, via email to Siobhan, to Carrie Burns, or to me. Siobhan, yeah, jump.
I just wanted to offer one additional piece. I think the question about the healthcare benefits kind of jogged my memory. So I guess I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I want to reemphasize, while we are offering or giving the $50,000 stipend, the cases that fellows are taking will be fee generating cases. And so the fee generating is going to be on a fixed fee, low fee, no fee model, as well as a sliding scale of hourly rate. So we've been able to develop that as well with our oversight committee and our volunteers who are working to help build the program. And so while the the stipend is there to support the fellows through the program. They also have open opportunity. Every client that they receive will be looked at as a fee generating client. They'll be able to determine that based on the program outlines that we've been able to describe in our participation agreement.
Absolutely. Siobhan, great points. We need to add that to our slides for future reference. You're absolutely right. So fee generating income will happen throughout the course of the 18-month fellowship. So one of the reasons why the second year, the last 6 months of the fellowship, months 13 through 18, we indicated earlier there will be the option to apply for additional stipend at the $15,000 level. That's because we are contemplating by the end of your first year, fellows will be generating more than enough income to live on. And that's part of what we're helping you learn how to do is some of you will come to us, we know, with good experience 4 or 5 years into it. Others will be brand new. We're going to help you build a book of business and understand how to create that process so you can, once you graduate from this program, not only do good work, but do work that creates a livable, sustainable wage. So great point, Siobhan. Thanks for catching that. So at this point, what I'll do is I'll put one last call out for any questions that might be out there. If you have our contact information, so you are welcome to reach out directly if at any point you have additional questions. We've got the timeline. You see that the application is open now. Siobhan mentioned February 12th as the target. You're not out of luck if you don't make it before February 12th, but those applications received before February 12th or by February 12th, on or before February 12th, will get priority look at for the interviews, which begin the week of February 19. So thank you everyone for joining us today. This video will be available again on our Facebook page, on our website, as well as YouTube. Siobhan, any final thoughts?
No, I think we've hit everything. Feel free to contact myself, Becky, or Carrie if anything comes up or you think of a question as soon as we log out. That always happens to me. But feel free to contact us with any additional questions or suggestions. We're definitely open for that, as this is a program that we continue to build to this day.
Absolutely.
I think we have another question that just came in.
Oh, what is the greatest need in terms of subject matter speakers or experts? I don't have a list in front of me. I can take that question offline if you'd like to reach out directly. Again, I would say that you'll see if you dig into the curriculum that's available online, you'll see that we have lots of different opportunities for sessions, and everything is going to be team taught. Probably most topics will be team taught, because we think it's important to give multiple perspectives. Not every lawyer practices in the same way or views the practice, even in a particular discipline, the same way. So we'll be team teaching 2 or 3 lawyers to every topic. So I would say at this stage of the game, we would love for anyone who's interested to simply reach out. And I'm sure that we could get you connected in a topic that makes sense for you. So thank you again, all. We are very excited to see this reality coming to us very quickly here with cohort number 1 scheduled to launch in July 2024. Thanks for making time to join us, and don't hesitate to reach out early and often because we'd love to answer any additional questions. Have a great rest of the day.